Before we do any more grooming on the bird, we want to, at this point in time, inject the feet. The reason why we want to inject the feet is because during the drying process, if you don't, the feet will start to shrivel up, the toes, they'll shrivel up and distort. So we want a nice, full, plump looking foot. So to do that, we're going to use Master Blend. It's a 2-part leg injection fluid. We want to touch briefly on safety. It's important that you wear gloves and an apron and eye protection whenever you're using this product. I've had it a couple of times when I've been injecting feet and they have a tendency to want to blow back. It's nothing to do with the product, it's just trying to inject into the feet can be difficult. So wear safety glasses. I also recommend using this product in a well-ventilated area because it does give off some fumes. It's mixed 50-50, part A and part B. We'll actually do the mixing in the syringe. We'll pull up some into the syringe of part A and some into the syringe of part B and shake it, and then we'll inject it into the leg. A lot of these compression fit syringes, you want to go ahead and tape down the syringe part. Otherwise, a lot of times these feet can be difficult to put the fluid into. So when you're applying a lot of pressure, this can actually shoot off and you can end up injecting a lot of some fluid all over the bird. So you want to make sure that you tape that down securely on these compression fit ones. Okay, and we've put the injection fluid in the syringe. We're shaking it up to mix the two parts together. You want to start on this first toe. We're going to inject right into the side of it or the bottom, it doesn't really matter. And just inject enough to plump the toe up. We'll take a 1-inch pin and put it where we had the needle so the injection fluid doesn't leak back out. We're going to repeat that same process with the rest of the toes. Want to make sure that you don't poke yourself when you're doing this, inject this into you. Just take your time. You do have a limited work time with this, probably a couple of minutes at the most, so you do need to keep moving. Now that we have all the toes injected, we will inject the leg itself, come right into the knuckle area. And depending on the size of the bird, will determine how many times we have to do this. A pheasant usually just once, especially on a flyer. Most of this leg is going to be tucked up anyway, so you won't see it. Now we'll proceed on to the other leg. We'll let this set up for about a minute or two, and then we'll come through and pull the pins out and wipe off any excess before it completely sets up. Now that it's been about a minute or two, we just want to come in and wipe off any excess injection fluid that might be seeping out. If you don't remove it, it's going to turn yellow and you just have to pry it off when you do your finishing process. It does come off, but it's easier to take it off at this point before it sets completely up. Looks like this is pretty much set up. So what we're going to do now is arrange the toes in a natural position and bend the legs back. I'm actually going to take some electrical tape. We're going to kind of form these in a natural, relaxed, flying pose. Take a small amount of electrical tape and just kind of hold these toes in place while it's drying. If you don't put the tape around, they have a tendency to want to distort and fall out of alignment. So we'll just carefully do this. You want to keep an eye on these when they're drying, especially if the feet may have had an infection, because if that happened, it's not going to dry underneath the tape and it could start to rot. So you just want to keep an eye on it during the drying process. Maybe after it's set up for a day or so, you can come and pull this off. I'm just kind of wrapping these loosely, let some air in there. Now we'll just take these legs and bend them back up. A flushing or flying pheasant has these legs right up next to their body. They're not back like a duck. Just check these for alignment. Kind of bend these down a little bit more. Perfect. Now we'll just kind of continue doing some more grooming. I see a couple of areas that are out of alignment, and then that should be pretty much wrapping the bird up. It's also important that whenever you're mounting a bird or any animal in particular, that you have good reference available at all times. It can be very beneficial for making sure your wings are lined up correctly, all your feather tracks are lined up, the eyes set correctly. The internet is full of great pictures that you can use. There's also a lot of great reference material available through most taxidermy supply companies, a lot of very nice detailed books and pictures. But it's always important to use reference just to fall back on and double check everything. Now that we have the bird pretty much where we want it, we're going to let it dry for about 24 hours and then come back and check it again. And then once we do that, it'll need about a week to dry, and then we'll start the finishing process.